Hey friends, welcome to my new channel. This is the OctoGeezer channel, and I'm the OctoGeezer. This new YouTube channel is designed to help you and me work our way into and through the 80s, understanding that it's never too late to do something that we've always wanted to do. I'm sure you have a bucket list just like I have a bucket list, and it's a shame that things are just going to lie in that bucket list and never be addressed just because we're 80. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer, I am not quite yet 80. I am 78 and 7/12, which is close to 80, but not quite there. But I think probably by the time you view this video, I'll be well into my 80s. So all is fair, and I don't feel uncomfortable at all calling myself the OctoGeezer. The Septo-Geezer just didn't seem to have a ring to it. So let's talk about that bucket list. I've got my bucket list, and I'm going to dig into it in a minute and see what I'm going to do. But what are you going to do? Do you have something on your bucket list that you've never done before? I want to encourage you that it's never too late to take on a new task, something exciting, something that you can really put your teeth into once you take them out of the jar and get to it. Now, it really appalls me when somebody says you can't teach an old dog new tricks, assuming that we are all old dogs. I like to think of us as puppies, and we are just as learnable as anybody is. If you can teach a 6-year-old to play the piano, you can teach an 80-year-old to play the piano. There may be some physical limitations. Maybe we're not as strong as we were. Maybe we're not be able to hike a mountain. But there are many things on our bucket list that we will be able to do. So it's time to dig into that bucket list and see what's in store for me. I just happen to have my bucket list handy. Let's see what's in there. I don't think so. Shake it up. Hang gliding. Silly. Oh, there's a good one. I think I can do this. It's going to take a lot of work. I'll need your help. I hope you put a lot of comments in this video so that I can follow your advice. But this old geezer is going to learn to play the accordion. Join me. Okay, let's get started. I've got this instrument, a rental instrument, but it's still a good accordion. It is a Horner, Horner, and if you're my age, particularly if you're a guy, you may remember when we were kids, we had harmonicas or mouth organs that were made by this same company. This company has been around since the 1890s, started in Germany. I think they're still in Germany, and they made just a number of instruments over the years, including harmonicas and then accordions and other instruments. Now, in 1964, they offered on the American market a bubble pack, which was a Beatles harmonica kit. And you could buy that for $2.95. A lot of kids did in those days. If you happen to have one in your closet, if you go to eBay, you'll find that it may fetch you between $50 and $100 now. So that's the brand name of this rental instrument that I have. Now let me tell you a little bit about it. First of all, it's a little bit on the heavy side. I was surprised just how heavy accordions are. And I still don't have the straps adjusted right. I've got to find out what the optimal fit is for an accordion. Reading online, I did find that the right hand, which plays the keyboard, should be positioned with your elbow somewhat raised. Now that's a problem for me. I fell and broke my shoulder a while back, and I just can't get my elbow to raise that high, so I'm going to have to accommodate somehow. One of the most intimidating things about this instrument is not the keyboard, although the keys are kind of close together and I have a hard time playing just one key at a time, but it is the other side of the instrument, which is right here, that has no less than what appears to be 1,001 buttons on it. And to make matters even more complicated is I can't see those buttons from here, just completely invisible. Now, they do tell you that one of these buttons just happen to have a little dimple that you play with your fourth finger, and that is sort of your home key. So you've got to feel around here looking for that dimple, and I tell you, it's a very subtle dimple to begin with, and then when you get that, oh, there it is right there, that becomes my home key on the bass side of the accordion. Now, I find it curious, when I was in elementary school and learned how to spell, they said that if you had a four-letter word that ended in the vowel E, the second vowel would be long. So the word B-A-S-E would be pronounced bass. If it was spelled B-A-S-S, it would be spelled bass. Well, the musical world seems to figure that B-A-S-S really spells bass. I think it's a fish, but if they want to call it bass, we'll call it the bass side. I've got other buttons here. Quite frankly, I don't know what they do. Somebody said, do you push one, it sounds more like an oboe or a clarinet. I'll figure that out someday down the road. So with this in mind, I can start to learn to play the accordion. Now it's going to be quite a challenge, as you can tell. Not only do I have to play independently my right keyboard, these 1,000 buttons on the left, but I've also, during the whole experience, got to squeeze in and squeeze out and squeeze in and squeeze out. These are what are called the bellows. Now, I always thought that a bellow was a sound that a cow made out in a field. I hope that my accordion playing doesn't resemble a field of cows. It may very well and probably likely will. So when I bellow, you understand why it sounds like it does. So anyway, I put this on last night, and I did think, well, let me practice a little bit and see if I can play anything. So just picking it up for the first time and putting it on, I was able to record or to play this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. I hope that I'll be able to play Beer Barrel Polka someday, but if as far as I get is Mary Had a Little Lamb, that'll work too. So I want to point out one more thing that I think is amusing, and that is on this bass side. I said that I needed to use my fourth finger to find that key with a dimple. Now, honest to goodness, let me strap this up here. This is my left hand, and this is my fourth finger on the left hand. Now, I am, as I said, 78 and 7/12 years old. Throughout my life, I have never used this finger for anything. It can't be used to disrespect my neighbor. That's not the right finger for that. It can't be used comfortably to pick your ear or anything like that. You can't thumb a ride with it. That just doesn't work. I swear for 78 years, I have not used this finger. It's been dormant. And now I'm expected to find a dimpled key among these 1,000 keys here. And that's going to be my home key. All right, we'll see where that takes us. Every episode of the OctoGeezer channel will include an interview with somebody who has found something exciting to do in their later years. Now, for this episode, we're going to be interviewing Mr. Bill Louie. Bill certainly found a niche that he thoroughly enjoys, and he's bringing a lot of enjoyment to others because of it. So welcome to the OctoGeezer channel, Bill, and how's everything out in San Francisco today?
Things are going very well, Ron. Thank you.
Excellent. So thanks for joining us. So, Bill, I understand that you found something exciting to do after retirement. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, I'm a tour guide for San Francisco City Guides, and I give tours in San Francisco's Chinatown.
Interesting.
And yeah, I find it very rewarding and engaging.
Uh-huh. What prompted you to do this?
Well, my wife and I we have spare time. I retired about 12 years ago now, and a couple of years into the retirement, we had traveled and done the usual activities that retirees do. But then we also started getting more interested in the area around us. So we decided to go on different guided tours. And one of the first we took was for one in San Francisco's Chinatown, and it was a wonderful tour. The guide was very well informed. I was ready to, being Chinese American, I was ready to cringe at maybe some misunderstandings. But Harry Rabin, the tour guide, gave an excellent tour, informative, and I got a chance to see a part of San Francisco that I had walked through it and I had gone there as a child, as a teenager, but never have I ever really understood what was behind the buildings, what were the stories behind some of the structures that I saw, or the
Uh-huh.
layout of that area. And so when I was going on that tour, I said to myself, "Gee, this is a great tour. It's very informative, and I would enjoy myself doing something like that." So now I've been doing it now for 10 years, and
Okay.
it's wonderful.
So is this a volunteer position, or are you paid for it? Are you a paid tour
Uh,
guide? How does that
it's
work?
like I like telling the walkers who join us, because we're a primary program of the San Francisco Public Library. We don't require any fees or admission charges. We just tell folks on our website, meet us at this location at this time, and we'll lead you on a walking tour. And we won't charge you. We will ask you for voluntary donations, but because we're like you walk into the public library, you don't pay for checking out the books. We don't charge you necessarily for joining us on the tour.
Excellent. Besides the historic aspect of taking you back to your roots of the Chinese community in San Francisco, what do you personally get out of being a tour guide?
Well, I get a lot out of. I think I should have been a teacher. I really enjoy figuring out ways of explaining maybe complicated, maybe detailed things, through stories and through examples, and by showing what the walkers are seeing and having them understand maybe some of the experiences that the Chinese Americans had here in
Hmm.
America. And when I see from any from our walkers from all parts of both the United States and around the globe, when I see that look of enlightenment, understanding, that really fulfills me. I really that's a passion for me. I really enjoy that sense of awareness, that look that, oh, I didn't know that that was the way it was,
Uh-huh.
and I really get a lot of pleasure out of that.
Okay. Now, a little bird whispered in the OctoGeezer's ear that you may have been featured in a New York Times article and maybe even on a local television program. Tell me about that.
The local CBS affiliate, KPIX,
Uh-huh.
um, asked San Francisco city guides, it was during the Chinese New Year's celebration period, and they asked if they could go on one of the Chinatown tours.
Mhm.
Um, then after that, this year, my wife was reading an article in the New York Times in which the newspaper was soliciting comments from people who have retired, um, asking that they write an essay about what they're doing now in retirement, whether it's a good story, sad story, uh,
Mhm.
engaging story.
Sort
And
of like what this channel's about. Sure.
yeah, yeah, very much so. And so she said to herself, and then she said to me, Bill, you have a really good story because you really are enjoying yourself in your retirement, giving tours in Chinatown. So it, New York Times asked its readers to submit a 200-word essay about what they're doing about retirement, and they got something like 1,600 responses.
Mm.
And I was one of the 16 stories that they chose to publish in the New York Times, along with they sent a photographer out to photograph me as I was standing in my bright red jacket as a San Francisco city guide. And it really was actually very engaging. The photographer is Jim Wilson. He'd won the Pulitzer Prize as the assignments editor. That was it's you know the validation I seek is really from the walkers, the people that I see, and how they look when they uh, realize something, or I've given them information in a way that it changes their perception of what they thought what
Mhm.
was. Um, and in doing my research, it's because of the fact that I was a Chinatown city guide that I told my mother, oh, I'm giving tours now, and she said, oh, you might be interested in this. So she gave me the 80-year-old transcripts of my father's actual interview at Angel Island. So I've
Oh,
incorporated that into my city guides tour, and some of the pictures of them and when they first got married and my family then. So it's part of my tour. So it I think it's a great story. A little vain there, but it's a great story. So it's nice to share that with really random walkers from around the world.
yeah. So Bill, I actually have a video clip of the KPIX video. Would you mind if I include that link on our channel so other folks can watch that?
Oh, I wouldn't mind at all, and I don't think Ryan Yamamoto would mind either. So no,
Okay.
absolutely.
Excellent. And then finally, if you were to give advice to folks our age that may find life a little boring after retirement, maybe they're sitting home watching Oprah all day, what would be your advice to folks about finding something interesting to do after retirement?
My advice, and it's not new. I think that's been given a lot of times as advice, and it's very sound advice. And that is, think about during your working career. Think about the jobs and the different assignments you had, and think about when you were most satisfied, most fulfilled, doing work, a particular kind of work that was enjoyable enough that you didn't have to be paid to do it. You were so engaged and motivated to do the best job you could without thinking about extrinsic rewards. You wanted to just do it for the intrinsic values. And I look back and I said to myself, I really enjoyed it when I was a benefits professional. I worked in both private and public sectors. And what I really enjoyed learning was some real difficult concepts, getting comfortable with it, and then being able to explain it to a group of people in an engaging and intelligent, concise method. And so I like doing that. And I like doing that now as a tour guide for San Francisco.
Well, Bill, you're certainly an inspiration to a lot of folks that probably would like to get out and about and do something interesting, but they haven't got that motivation yet to do it. So we hope we can motivate them to do it. Now, I would also, if you don't mind, like to promote city guides and maybe put their link on our website too for anybody that's visiting the Bay Area. And maybe with any luck, they'll find you given that Chinatown tour and can meet you personally.
And San Francisco City Guides is a wonderful program. You really
Mhm.
have motivated not professional, but volunteers, really motivated volunteers who have really a love of San Francisco. And as an aside, we also like listening to ourselves talk. So it's
Yeah.
great for giving tours.
I understand it's one of the few programs anywhere in the world that provides free walking tours of their city, and you can't find a more beautiful city than San Francisco.
Nope.
So, Bill, thank you so much for your time, your words of wisdom. We hope we motivate other people through this channel to get out and do what you have done, and that is find something interesting to do after retirement. And I certainly see the joy you get out of it just by the twinkle in your eye as you talk about it. So, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast.
Bye.
All right. So that brings us to the end of week number 1 of the OctoGeezer channel. Have a to-do list for us, for you and I. My to-do list, I need to practice the accordion every day, and we'll see how far I've gone in next week's video. But you've got a to-do list also. First of all, I want you to dig into your bucket list, and I want you to find an activity that you've just been trying to do for 70 or 80 years and start doing it. And then tell us in the comments section of this channel how successful you are and just what you've chosen to do. Also, a to-do list for those of you that are accordion players. Send me some hints, some guidelines. Tell me how to practice correctly and what I should need to know to play the accordion. I certainly use your help, as you can well tell. And finally, the to-do list that I'm going to leave you with each week. Stay active. Enjoy every day of your life. Till next week. Goodbye.